The candles flickered on the untouched cake, 35 of them melting slowly into the buttercream frosting. Olivia Morgan stared at her reflection in the dining room window, the darkness outside turning the glass into a mirror. Behind her, the table was set for 3, white plates on burgundy placemats, wine glasses filled, napkins folded. The lasagna she'd spent the afternoon preparing sat cooling in its dish, the edges just beginning to harden. Her phone vibrated against the table. Another text from Eliza, her sister. Any update? Should I come over? Olivia's fingers hovered over the screen. 6:30 had become 7. 7 had stretched to 8. Now it was nearly 9, and still no sign of her husband or his mother. No calls, no explanations. Just the dying candles and the cooling food and the growing certainty that something was very wrong. "Happy birthday to me," she whispered, and blew out the candles, 3 weeks earlier. "So I was thinking we could do something special this year," Nathan said, leaning against the kitchen counter while Olivia chopped vegetables for dinner. "For your birthday." "Oh?" Olivia raised an eyebrow, keeping her tone light. Last year's birthday had been a disaster, a quick dinner at a chain restaurant where the waiter had forgotten to bring her dessert. The year before, Nathan had been called into an emergency meeting and had come home after she'd gone to bed. Her birthdays had always seemed cursed somehow. "Yeah, I know the last couple haven't been great." He took a sip from his coffee mug. "I thought maybe we could go away for the weekend. That bed and breakfast in Montauk you've been wanting to try." Olivia set down her knife, genuinely surprised. "Really? That would be—" She smiled, allowing herself a moment of hope. "That would be amazing, actually." "Done then." Nathan crossed the kitchen and wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, pressing a kiss to her neck. "I want to make this one special." Olivia leaned into him, savoring the moment. They'd been married for 7 years, together for 10, and lately things had felt distant. Nathan's law firm had taken on several new high-profile clients, which meant longer hours and more stress. They'd been trying for a baby for the last 2 years with no success. Each negative test a tiny heartbreak neither of them knew how to talk about anymore. A weekend away felt like a lifeline. "I love you," she said, turning to face him. "Love you more." He kissed her properly now, and for a moment, everything felt right. The moment was broken by the chime of Nathan's phone. He pulled away with a sigh. "It's my mother," he said, his expression shifting in that subtle way it always did when Diane was involved. Olivia turned back to her vegetables. "What does she want?" "She's coming into the city next weekend. Wants to have dinner?" "That's nice," Olivia said, her tone carefully neutral. Diane Morgan was a complicated woman. Widowed when Nathan was 16, she had channeled all her energy, all her expectations, all her love into her only son. Her relationship with Olivia had always been cordial but cool, pleasant on the surface, with undercurrents of criticism that only Olivia seemed to notice. "I'll tell her we can do Friday," Nathan said, typing a response. "She's staying through the following week, so she wants to have dinner again on your birthday." Olivia's hand stilled. "On my birthday? I thought we were going to Montauk." Nathan looked up, his expression caught between guilt and frustration. "We can go the weekend after? She's only in town for a week and you know how she gets if we don't see her." "Right." Olivia resumed chopping with more force than necessary. "Of course." "Hey." Nathan set down his phone and turned her to face him. "We'll still do something special, I promise. We'll have dinner with my mom, and then the weekend after we'll do the bed and breakfast. Maybe it's better this way. Your actual birthday falls on a Tuesday, so we'd have to take time off work to go away." Olivia wanted to argue, wanted to tell him that she would take time off work, that her birthday only came once a year, that his mother always seemed to find a way to insert herself into their plans, but she saw the pleading in his eyes, the tension in his jaw. "It wasn't worth the fight." "Fine," she said, forcing a smile. "Dinner with Diane on my birthday. But you're still making it up to me that weekend?" "Absolutely," Nathan promised, relief evident in his voice. "It'll be perfect, I swear." When Olivia recounted the conversation to Eliza over lunch the next day, her sister was predictably outraged. Are you kidding me? He's ditching your birthday plans for his mother? Again? He's not ditching them, Olivia protested weakly. Just rescheduling. Eliza rolled her eyes. How convenient that Diane is in town exactly during your birthday. Almost like she planned it that way. Don't be paranoid. She probably doesn't even remember when my birthday is. Please. That woman remembers everything. Eliza took an aggressive bite of her salad. She's been undermining your relationship with Nathan for years. Remember the wedding? When she showed up in that white dress? It was cream, Olivia corrected, though they both knew it had been closer to bridal white than anything else. And the Christmas she gave you that diet book? She said it was about healthy eating. It was called Lose 10 Pounds by New Year's Live. Olivia sighed. I know she's difficult, but she's Nathan's mother. And since Jack died, she doesn't have anyone else. She has plenty of friends in Connecticut. She chooses to cling to Nathan because she can't let go. Eliza reached across the table and squeezed Olivia's hand. I just hate seeing you constantly pushed aside for her. When was the last time you and Nathan did something just the two of you? Without her calling or showing up or somehow being involved? Olivia couldn't remember, which was answer enough. Maybe this dinner won't be so bad, she said, more to convince herself than Eliza. Maybe we can do something just the three of us. Keep it simple. Eliza looked skeptical but didn't push. Whatever you say. But I'm on standby if you need an emergency extraction. One text and I'll call with a fake crisis. You're the best, Olivia laughed, grateful as always for her sister's unwavering support. I know, Eliza grinned. And don't you forget it. The Friday before her birthday, Olivia sat across from Diane at an overpriced Italian restaurant Nathan had chosen, trying to maintain her pleasant expression as her mother-in-law delivered a detailed critique of her recent haircut. I just think layers would have been more flattering, dear, with your face shape. Don't you think, Nathan? Nathan, who had been checking his email on his phone, looked up. What? Oh, I think Liv's hair looks nice, Diane smiled tightly. Of course it does. I'm just saying it could be more flattering. She turned her attention back to Olivia. So, I hear we're having dinner again on Tuesday for your birthday. Nathan mentioned you're cooking? This was news to Olivia. She glanced at Nathan, who suddenly found his wine glass fascinating. Actually, we hadn't decided yet. I thought maybe we'd go out somewhere. Oh, but Nathan said you were planning to make your special lasagna. You know it's his favorite. Diane patted her son's hand affectionately. And I've been dying to try it. He raves about your cooking. Olivia felt trapped. I suppose I could make lasagna, she conceded, silently promising herself she'd have a word with Nathan later. Wonderful. Diane clapped her hands together. And I'll bring dessert. I'm making Nathan's favorite chocolate cake, the one he always requested for his birthday as a child. That's thoughtful. Olivia took a large sip of her wine. But it's my birthday, so maybe— Oh, I know, dear, Diane interrupted. But everyone loves chocolate cake, don't they? And this recipe is special. Family tradition. Before Olivia could respond, Nathan jumped in. Mom's cake is incredible, Liv. You'll love it. The look of pure adoration he gave his mother made Olivia's stomach twist. It was the same expression he'd worn as a child in the photos that lined Diane's hallway, a blend of devotion and need that made Olivia feel like an intruder in her own marriage. Great, she managed. Chocolate cake it is. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of thinly veiled criticisms and reminiscences about Nathan's childhood, from which Olivia felt pointedly excluded. By the time they got home, tension had settled between her shoulders like a physical weight. You told her I'd cook dinner? She asked as they prepared for bed, keeping her voice even. Nathan sighed. She asked what we were doing, and I mentioned we might eat in. She just assumed, I guess. And you didn't correct her? It wasn't a question. Liv, it's just dinner. Does it really matter where we eat or what cake we have? It's my birthday, Nathan. And once again, your mother is making all the decisions. That's not fair. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. She's trying to be involved, to connect with you. By bringing your favorite cake to my birthday? By criticizing my hair, my job, She stopped herself, not wanting to mention the latest sore spot. Diane's increasingly frequent comments about grandchildren and Olivia's biological clock. She doesn't mean it like that. How does she mean it then? Nathan didn't have an answer. He never did when it came to his mother's behavior. I'm tired, Olivia said finally. Let's just go to bed. As she lay awake beside her sleeping husband, Olivia made a decision. If she was going to host her own birthday dinner, she would do it right. She'd make the lasagna, yes, but she'd also buy herself a proper cake, set a beautiful table, open a good bottle of wine. She'd take control of what she could and try to make the evening something she could enjoy. Despite Diane's presence, what she didn't know was that Diane had plans of her own. On the morning of her birthday, Olivia woke to an empty bed and the smell of coffee. In the kitchen, she found Nathan fully dressed, keys in hand. "Morning, birthday girl," he said, kissing her cheek. "Sorry, I've got an early meeting. Partner wants to go over the Westridge brief before court." "Oh." She tried not to sound disappointed. "Will you be home in time for dinner?" "Definitely. I should be done by 5. He handed her a small gift box. "I wanted you to have this now, though." Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a small heart charm. It was pretty, if not particularly personal. "It's beautiful," she said, and meant it. "Thank you. I've got to run, but I'll see you tonight. Love you." And then he was gone, the front door closing behind him before she could even ask if he'd remembered to pick up the wine they'd discussed. The day improved from there. Her colleagues had decorated her desk with balloons and brought cupcakes. Her favorite client sent flowers. Eliza took her to lunch and gave her a pair of earrings she'd been eyeing for months. "Text me after dinner," Eliza reminded her as they parted. "I want a full report on Hurricane Diane." "I will." Olivia hugged her sister tightly. "Thanks for making my day special." By the time she arrived home, Olivia felt cautiously optimistic about the evening ahead. She'd left work early to give herself time to prepare properly. The lasagna was assembled and ready to go in the oven. She'd bought herself a small birthday cake, lemon with raspberry filling, her favorite, and hidden it in the back of the refrigerator behind the vegetables where Diane wouldn't immediately see it. She'd set the table with their best dishes and the good wine glasses, created a simple centerpiece with flowers from her desk. Nathan texted at 4, running a bit late. "Start without me if I'm not there by 6. "Mom's excited for dinner." Annoyed but not surprised, Olivia responded, "We'll wait." "Don't be too late." At 5:30, as she was changing into a new dress she'd bought for the occasion, the doorbell rang. Diane stood on the threshold holding a large cake box, dressed as if for a formal dinner party rather than a simple family meal. "Olivia, darling," she said, air-kissing both cheeks. "Happy birthday." "Thank you, Diane. Come in." Olivia stepped aside. "Nathan's running late, but he should be here soon." Diane swept into the apartment, setting the cake box on the counter. "Oh, I know. He called me earlier. The Westridge case is quite demanding." Of course, he'd called his mother, but couldn't be bothered to update his wife. "Can I get you something to drink?" "Wine? Water?" Olivia offered, determined to be a gracious hostess despite the simmering resentment. "Wine would be lovely." "Red, if you have it." Diane glanced around the apartment with the assessing eye she always brought, as if conducting a silent inspection. "The table looks nice. Thank you." "I thought we'd make it special," Olivia poured 2 glasses of the Cabernet she'd opened to breathe, and handed one to Diane. "Dinner should be ready in about 45 minutes. Diane took a sip of wine and wrinkled her nose slightly. "A bit young, isn't it?" Olivia bit back a retort. "It's what Nathan and I enjoy." "Of course." Diane wandered into the living room, trailing her fingers along the furniture. "You know, Nathan mentioned you've been trying for a baby." Olivia nearly choked on her wine. "He what?" "Oh, don't be upset with him. I'm his mother. We talk about everything." Diane picked up a framed photo of Olivia and Nathan on their honeymoon. "I was just telling him that at your age you really shouldn't wait much longer. My friend Carolyn's daughter had such trouble after 35. "I'm 35 today, Diane, not 50. Olivia's voice was tight. "And I'd prefer if you and Nathan didn't discuss our fertility issues." "It's nothing to be ashamed of, dear." These things happen, though I do wonder if it's all the stress from your job. When I was trying to get pregnant with Nathan, my doctor advised complete rest. That was 35 years ago. Medicine has advanced since then. Diane shrugged, setting down the photo. I'm only thinking of you. And Nathan, of course. He'd make such a wonderful father. Before Olivia could respond, her phone buzzed with a text. Nathan again, got held up. Start without me, I'll be there as soon as I can. Olivia stared at the message, a sinking feeling in her stomach. Nathan's going to be later than expected, she told Diane. We should probably go ahead and eat when the lasagna's ready. Oh. Diane's expression shifted to one of concern. That poor boy works too hard. Always has. Yes, well. Olivia drained her glass. More wine? By 6:30, the lasagna was done, but Nathan still hadn't arrived. Olivia had moved from irritation to genuine worry, sending several texts that went unanswered. Should we call the office? She asked Diane, who seemed surprisingly unperturbed by her son's absence. I'm sure he's fine, dear. You know how he gets when he's focused on work. Diane checked her watch. Perhaps I should go, though. We can reschedule. No. You're already here and the food is ready. Olivia forced a smile. Let's eat, and Nathan can join when he arrives. They were halfway through dinner, making stilted conversation about Diane's garden club, when Olivia's phone rang. Nathan's name lit up the screen. Nathan? Where are you? We've been waiting. Liv, I'm so sorry. His voice was rushed, background noise suggesting he was in a restaurant. The meeting ran long, and then Peterson insisted we discuss the case over dinner. I'm with him and the client now. Olivia stood, moving away from the table so Diane wouldn't hear. It's my birthday dinner, Nathan. Your mother is here. The food is getting cold. I know. It's terrible timing. But this client is huge for the firm, and Peterson specifically asked me to be here. He lowered his voice. Can you and Mom go ahead without me? I'll make it up to you, I swear. When will you be home? A pause. I'm not sure. Late, probably. Olivia closed her eyes, fighting back tears of frustration. Fine, she said flatly. Have a great dinner. She hung up before he could respond and took a moment to compose herself before returning to the table. Nathan's still tied up with work, she told Diane, resuming her seat. He won't be joining us. What a shame. Diane took a delicate bite of lasagna. Though this is quite good, dear. A bit heavy on the garlic for my taste, but Nathan always did like strong flavors. Olivia said nothing, pushing food around her plate, appetite gone. The birthday she'd tried so hard to salvage was in ruins. Again. Well, Diane said after a painful silence, since it's just us girls, why don't we have some cake? I think that might cheer you up. Without waiting for a response, she rose and went to the kitchen, returning with the large box she'd brought. Inside was an elaborate chocolate cake, professionally decorated with the words, Happy Birthday Nathan and Olivia, in ornate script. Olivia stared at it. I'm sorry, what is this? Diane looked confused. The cake, dear. For your birthday. It says, Happy Birthday Nathan and Olivia. Nathan's birthday is in March. It's October. Oh! Diane's hand flew to her mouth in exaggerated surprise. Silly me. I must have told the bakery the wrong thing. I was thinking about how we always celebrated Nathan's half-birthday when he was little. 6 months from his actual birthday, which would be... Now, I suppose, she laughed lightly. Well, it still says your name too, so it works out. Olivia felt something inside her snap. The careful control she'd maintained for years around this woman. The polite smiles in the face of subtle digs. The constant deference to keep the peace. It all crumbled in an instant. No, she said quietly. It doesn't work out. Nothing about this works out, Diane blinked. I beg your pardon? This isn't a mistake. You didn't accidentally put Nathan's name on my birthday cake. You did it on purpose, just like you deliberately came to visit during my birthday week, just like you accidentally wore white to our wedding. Olivia. Diane looked genuinely shocked. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're upset about the cake, it's not about the cake. Olivia stood, hands flat on the table. It's about 7 years of you inserting yourself into every aspect of our lives. It's about you constantly undermining me, criticizing me, making me feel like I'll never be good enough for your precious son. That's ridiculous. I've only ever wanted what's best for Nathan. And according to you, that's not me. Diane's face hardened. If you feel that way, perhaps you should consider why. Nathan deserves someone who understands his worth, who supports his career, who can give him children. Stop. Olivia's voice was deadly quiet. Get out of my home. Excuse me? You heard me. Get out, now. Diane stood, gathering her purse with shaking hands. I knew you weren't right for him from the start. Too career-focused, too independent. Nathan needs someone more traditional, more family-oriented. What Nathan needs is to grow up and stop letting his mother fight his battles. Olivia walked to the door and held it open. You can take your cake with you. Nathan will hear about this, Diane threatened, stalking past her. I'm counting on it. Olivia shut the door firmly behind her mother-in-law and leaned against it. Heart pounding. She pulled out her phone and called Eliza. Liz, I need you to come over. And bring wine. Lots of it. When her sister arrived 20 minutes later, Olivia had changed into sweats and was sitting at the kitchen counter, staring at her lemon cake with its one lit candle. What happened? Eliza demanded, setting down 2 bottles of wine. Where's Nathan? And the Wicked Witch? Nathan is having dinner with a client, Olivia said, her voice oddly calm. And I kicked Diane out after she brought this. She gestured to the chocolate monstrosity, still sitting on the dining table. Eliza examined the cake and let out a low whistle. Holy shit, wow. Yeah. And Nathan? Doesn't know yet. He probably won't be home until after midnight. Eliza uncorked one of the wine bottles and poured 2 generous glasses. So what now? Olivia took a long sip before answering. Now I decide if I want to stay married to a man who will never put me first. At midnight, as Olivia and Eliza finished the second bottle of wine, the front door opened. Nathan stepped in, looking tired but otherwise unaffected, as if it were any other night. He stopped short at the sight of the 2 women at the kitchen counter. Eliza, he said, surprised. I didn't know you were coming over. Surprise, Eliza replied dryly. Happy birthday to your wife. Nathan had the grace to look ashamed. Liv, I'm so sorry. The dinner ran late and then— Save it, Olivia cut him off. Your mother left you a cake. She pointed to the dining table where the chocolate cake sat untouched, the inscription clearly visible. Nathan approached it slowly, his expression shifting from confusion to understanding as he read the words. I can explain, he began. Can you? Olivia challenged. Because I'd love to hear it. Eliza stood, gathering her purse. I think that's my cue to leave. Call me tomorrow, Liv. She shot Nathan a look that could have frozen lava before letting herself out. In the silence that followed, Nathan ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture Olivia had once found endearing. Now it just irritated her. Where's my mother? He asked finally. I asked her to leave. You what? After she brought that cake, which, by the way, she admitted was deliberate, and started in on how I'm not good enough for you because I can't seem to get pregnant. I told her to get out. Nathan looked stricken. She said that to you? Among other things. Olivia crossed her arms. But that's not the point, Nathan. The point is that you weren't here, again, on my birthday. And not because of some unavoidable work emergency, but because you chose to go to dinner with your boss and a client instead of coming home to your wife. It wasn't a choice. Peterson specifically asked, It's always a choice, Olivia interrupted. And you never choose me. Not over work, not over your mother. Never. That's not true. I love you. I know you do. In your way. Olivia sighed, suddenly exhausted. But love isn't enough if it doesn't come with respect, with prioritization. Nathan moved closer, reaching for her hand. Tell me how to fix this, please. Olivia stepped back, avoiding his touch. I don't think you can. Not tonight, anyway. She picked up her small lemon cake, which she and Eliza had never gotten around to eating. I'm going to stay at Eliza's for a few days. I need some space to think. Olivia, please. It's late. Let's talk about this in the morning. I've been trying to talk to you about this for years, Nathan. You never listen. She placed the cake carefully in a container, her movements deliberate. I'll pack a bag. At least let me drive you, he pleaded as she headed toward the bedroom. I'll call a cab. Her voice was firm. Go check on your mother. I'm sure she needs consoling after the terrible way I treated her. Nathan flinched. That's not fair. No, Olivia agreed, pausing in the doorway. None of this is fair. 3 days later, Olivia sat in a cafe across from her sister, turning her coffee mug in slow circles. He's called 17 times, she said. Left 9 voicemails. Sent flowers to the office twice. And? Eliza prompted. And I'm not ready to talk to him yet. Olivia stared out the window at the rain-slicked streets. Every time I think about going home, I remember sitting at that table with the candles burning down, waiting for him while he was out having dinner with his mother. Wait, what? Eliza set down her cup with a clatter. I thought you said he was with a client. Olivia shook her head. I thought so too. But when I was packing my bag, I saw a text notification on his phone from Diane. She swallowed hard. It said, "Thank you for a lovely dinner, sweetheart. I'm sorry your evening with Olivia didn't work out." Holy shit, Eliza breathed. He lied to you? He was actually with his mother the whole time? I don't know for sure. I didn't confront him about it, I just left. Olivia ran a hand through her hair. But it would explain why he looked so panicked when he saw that cake. He knew exactly what his mother had done. That manipulative witch, Eliza fumed. And Nathan? Going along with it? On your birthday? Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe there's an explanation. No, Eliza said firmly. Don't do that. Don't second-guess yourself. You've spent 7 years making excuses for both of them. Olivia nodded, knowing her sister was right. It had been a pattern throughout her marriage. Nathan disappointing her, Diane undermining her, and Olivia convincing herself it wasn't as bad as it seemed. So what now? Eliza asked softly. Now I figure out what I want. Olivia twisted her wedding ring, a gesture that had become a nervous habit. And then I tell Nathan face to face. Do you know what you want? Olivia considered the question carefully. I want a marriage where I'm not constantly competing with my mother-in-law for my husband's attention. I want a partner who stands up for me, who makes me a priority. She trailed off, then squared her shoulders. I want more than Nathan has been willing to give. Her phone buzzed with another incoming call from Nathan. This time she answered, Olivia, thank God. His voice was raw, as if he hadn't been sleeping. Please come home. We need to talk. Yes, she agreed. We do, but not at home. Meet me at the park near the office, by the fountain. 4 o'clock. I'll be there, he promised. I love you. Olivia ended the call without returning the sentiment. The park was nearly empty when she arrived, the weekday afternoon and threatening sky keeping most people away. Nathan was already there, sitting on a bench near the fountain, his suit rumpled and his eyes shadowed. He stood when he saw her. Liv, Nathan. She kept her distance, not trusting herself to think clearly if he touched her. I've been going crazy, he said. I'm so sorry about your birthday. About everything. Please come home. I need to ask you something first, Olivia said. And I need you to be completely honest with me. He nodded, eyes never leaving her face. Anything? Where were you on my birthday? After you left work? Nathan hesitated, just a fraction of a second, but long enough for Olivia to know. I was with Peterson and the client, he said. Like I told you, don't lie to me. Her voice was steady despite the anger churning inside her. Not again. I saw the text from your mother, Nathan. I know you had dinner with her. The color drained from his face. Liv, I can explain. Please do. She crossed her arms, waiting. Nathan sank back onto the bench, shoulders slumped. After the meeting, Peterson did want to go to dinner with the client. But as we were leaving the office, my mother called. She was upset, said you were being cold to her, that she felt unwelcome. She was threatening to go back to Connecticut early. So you went to dinner with her instead. I thought I'd just meet her for a quick drink, calm her down. and then join you for dinner. But she was so upset, and you know how she gets when she's like that. One drink turned into dinner, and then it was getting late, and I knew you'd be angry. So you lied. Olivia felt oddly calm, as if watching the scene from a distance. You chose your mother over me again, and then you lied about it. I was trying to keep the peace. Nathan stood agitated. You and my mother have never gotten along, and I'm always caught in the middle. Do you have any idea what that's like? To constantly feel like you're being forced to choose? I've never forced you to choose, Olivia said quietly. I've bent over backward for 7 years to accommodate your mother, to make her feel included, to ignore her little digs and criticisms. All I asked was that my birthday, one day out of the year, be about me. And you couldn't even give me that. I made a mistake, he admitted. A terrible mistake. But we can fix this. We'll go to counseling. I'll talk to my mother, set better boundaries. Nathan. Olivia took a deep breath. The cake wasn't a mistake. Your mother deliberately had both your names put on it. She admitted it to me. She wouldn't do that. She did. And when I confronted her, she said I wasn't right for you because I'm too focused on my career and can't give you children. Nathan shook his head in denial. She was upset. She didn't mean it. She meant every word, Olivia said firmly. And the worst part is, I think some part of you agrees with her. You've never once defended me to her. Not about the wedding dress, not about the diet book, not about any of it. That's not fair. You know how difficult she can be. I've tried to mediate. Mediate? Olivia laughed, the sound hollow. Nathan, there's nothing to mediate. Your mother has been waging a slow, subtle war against me since the day we met, and you've allowed it. Encouraged it even by never setting boundaries. What are you saying? Nathan's voice was small. I'm saying I can't do this anymore. I can't be married to someone who puts his mother's feelings above his wife's needs, who lies to avoid conflict, who makes promises he never intends to keep. Are you... He swallowed hard. Are you leaving me? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Olivia had been asking herself the same thing for 3 days. I don't know, she admitted finally. But I do know I can't go back to the way things were. Tell me what you need, he pleaded. I'll do anything. I need you to stand up to your mother, not just about the birthday cake or the dinner, but about all of it. I need you to tell her that her behavior toward me has been unacceptable, and that if she wants to be part of our lives, things have to change. I can do that, Nathan said quickly. I'll call her right now. And I need us to go to counseling. Real counseling, not just a few sessions to smooth things over. He nodded. Done. And I need time, Olivia finished. Time to figure out if this marriage can be saved or if the damage is too deep. How much time? I don't know. A few weeks at least? She twisted her wedding ring again. I'll stay with Eliza until I decide. Nathan looked devastated but didn't argue. I'll wait as long as it takes, he promised. I love you, Liv. More than anything. If that's true, she said softly. You have a funny way of showing it. As she turned to leave, the skies opened up, rain pouring down in sheets. Olivia didn't run for cover, letting the downpour soak through her clothes, washing away the tears she hadn't allowed herself to shed. 3 weeks later, the restaurant was crowded, the Friday night rush in full swing. Olivia spotted Nathan at a corner table, nervously adjusting his water glass. He stood when he saw her, his smile cautious but hopeful. You look beautiful, he said as she sat down across from him. Thank you. She settled her napkin in her lap, noting that he'd chosen her favorite restaurant, the one they'd gone to on their first anniversary. How are you? Better now that you're here. He hesitated. I wasn't sure you'd come. I said I would. Olivia had agreed to dinner after their third counseling session, a tentative step toward reconciliation. The past weeks had been difficult but clarifying. Distance had given her perspective on their marriage, both its flaws and its strengths. How's the Madison account going? Nathan asked, referring to a project she'd mentioned in therapy. It's good. We landed the contract yesterday, actually. That's fantastic, Liv. His enthusiasm seemed genuine. I know how hard you've been working on that pitch. Thanks. She smiled, pleasantly surprised by his interest. Before their separation, Nathan had rarely asked about her work, often seeming distracted when she discussed it. They ordered drinks and appetizers, the conversation flowing more easily than Olivia had expected. Nathan told her about a pro bono case he'd taken on, something he'd never made time for in the past, and listened. Attentively when she spoke about her sister's upcoming art show, it wasn't until their entrees arrived that he broached the subject they'd both been avoiding. I saw my mother last weekend, he said, setting down his fork. In Connecticut, Olivia tensed. How is Diane? Difficult as always. A rueful smile crossed his face. But I said what needed to be said, which was? Nathan met her gaze directly. That her behavior toward you has been unacceptable. That if she wants to be part of our lives, if there still is an hour, she needs to respect you, respect our marriage, and respect the boundaries we set. And how did she take that? Olivia couldn't imagine Diane accepting such ultimatums gracefully, about how you'd expect. He grimaced. There were tears, accusations, the whole guilt trip about how she's sacrificed everything for me, but I didn't back down. Olivia studied his face, looking for signs of the conflict-avoidant man she'd been married to for 7 years. Instead, she saw determination and a quiet confidence that had been missing before. What changed? She asked softly. I did. Nathan reached across the table, not quite touching her hand, but close. Or maybe I'm changing. The counseling, these weeks apart, they've made me see things I was blind to before. How I've been using work as an escape. How I've let my mother manipulate both of us because it was easier than standing up to her. He took a breath. And how I've taken you for granted. Expected you to keep making sacrifices while I made none. Olivia felt a lump forming in her throat. Nathan, let me finish, please. His voice was gentle but firm. I know I've hurt you. I know I've broken your trust. And I know promises don't mean much right now, but I want you to know that if you give us another chance, things will be different. How? The question was simple but loaded. I've set clear boundaries with my mother. I told her that if she can't respect you, she won't be welcome in our home. I've talked to Peterson about my work-life balance, arranged to take on fewer cases so I can be home more. He hesitated, then continued. And I've started seeing a therapist on my own, to work through my issues with my mother, with commitment, with everything. Olivia was silent, processing his words. Nathan had never been one for grand gestures, but these steps, practical, sustainable changes, meant more than any dramatic declaration could have. I'm not asking you to come home today, he said when she didn't respond. I'm just asking for a chance to show you that I can be the husband you deserve. Olivia thought about the past 3 weeks, the clarity she'd found, the independence she'd reclaimed, the strength she'd discovered in herself. She'd realized something important during their time apart. She could live without Nathan. Her life wouldn't end if their marriage did. But the question wasn't whether she could live without him, but whether she wanted to. I've been thinking a lot, she said finally. About us, about what I want. Nathan waited, tension visible in the set of his shoulders. I don't want to be your second priority anymore, Olivia continued. Not behind your mother, not behind your work. I don't want to spend another 7 years feeling like I'm fighting for scraps of your attention. You won't have to, he promised. I swear. But, she held up a hand. I also don't want to throw away everything we've built together. The good parts of our marriage, the love that I know is still there. Hope flickered in Nathan's eyes. Does that mean? It means I'm willing to try, Olivia said carefully. I can't promise it will work. We have a lot to rebuild, a lot of trust to restore, but I'm willing to try if you are. I am. Nathan's voice cracked with emotion. More than anything. Olivia nodded, a weight lifting from her shoulders. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There were still conversations to be had, boundaries to be established, wounds to be healed. But it was a beginning, a chance at something better than what they'd had before. There's one more thing, Nathan said, Reaching into his jacket pocket, he pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. I know it's 2 months late, but happy birthday. Inside the envelope were 2 tickets to a bed and breakfast in Montauk, dated for the following weekend. No work calls, Nathan promised. No mother emergencies. Just us. Olivia felt tears pricking at her eyes, but these were different from the ones she'd shed in the rain 3 weeks ago. These were tears of cautious hope, of possibility. Just us, she repeated. And for the first time in a long time, she believed it might be true. As they finished dinner, talking about plans and possibilities, Olivia realized something had shifted inside her. The anger and hurt were still there, but alongside them was a growing certainty that whatever happened next, whether their marriage flourished in its new form or gently ended, she would be okay. She had found her voice, her strength, her limits. And no birthday cake, no matter how deliberately sabotaged, could take that away from her. Outside the restaurant, as they prepared to part ways, Olivia back to Eliza's, Nathan to their apartment, he hesitated, then asked, "Can I call you tomorrow?" Olivia considered the question, then nodded. "I'd like that." She leaned forward and pressed a soft kiss to his cheek, the familiar scent of his cologne bringing back a rush of memories. Some painful, some sweet, all part of the complicated tapestry they'd woven together. "Good night, Nathan," she said, stepping back. "Good night, Liv." He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "See you soon." As she walked away, Olivia felt lighter than she had in months. The future was uncertain, the work ahead substantial. But for the first time in a long time, she was writing her own story. Not the one Diane had tried to script. Not even the one Nathan had imagined, but her own. And in that story, her birthday would never again be an afterthought.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.